I'd like to just spend a few moments, if you don't mind, giving you a few reflections of my trip in America, correct? One specific thing I'd like to mention, which I felt would be very, very good for myself to say and for people to hear as well, and that is that I spent, as you know, a Shabbos with Kesher Nafshi, which is absolutely incredible organization, an incredible organization that I just want to give over to you my impression of the Shabbos. I've done this before. If you remember when I spent a Shabbos in Tiberia, wasn't that long ago, I shared with you my experiences. So this is obviously a slightly different angle because it's in America, which is, also where people live, and also it was a much bigger program as well. There were close to about 1,000 people there, which was absolutely amazing. But I want to share with you an idea. I said this idea Motzei Shabbos. I spoke Motzei Shabbos where they had an incredible concert, and I spoke Motzei Shabbos and I mentioned the Sfas Emes, which I mentioned in the Parasha video. If you got the Parasha video before Shabbos, yes. It was in that Parasha video. The Sfas Emes says a famous Yisoid. His Yisoid is that, what is the Pshat? Why in last week's Parasha Vayigash, Yosef and Binyamin cry on each other's shoulders, and they are crying on each other's shoulders. Why are they crying now? And Rashi explains that they're crying because of the Churban Beis HaMikdash, Ephraim. Churban Beis HaMikdash is going to come, it goes on their chaylik, whatever. So the Sfas Emes asks a kasha, and the Sfas Emes asks, okay, beautiful, we get it, they are crying for the Churban Beis HaMikdash, but why are they crying now, Zechariah? Why specifically now? Right? This emotional meeting time between Yosef and Binyamin and Yosef and all the brothers for that matter, but specifically they cried on each other's shoulders. Why are they crying now for the Churban Beis HaMikdash? The answer the Sfas Emes gives is something amazing. He says that at the beginning, a few psukim ago, Yosef HaTzadik is desperate to be able to announce who he is in front of his brothers. He's very, very excited to do so. And he can't hold himself back, the Torah tells us. He's desperate to tell them, but he can't hold himself back. So he sends everybody out, right? And then he decides to announce it. Okay? Now, it's an amazing thing if you think about it. The Sfas Emes says, what does that mean? The Torah is telling us that he couldn't hold himself back in and he wanted to tell them. So the Sfas Emes says an amazing thing. Listen to what he says. He says, and I'm obviously saying it in a little bit more detail than I said on Erev Shabbos, but he said that if Yosef HaTzadik would have kept within him, if he would have contained within himself a bit more of the pain and the tsar of having to hold himself back and announce who he was in one of his brothers, he would have endured much of the tsar and the pain of what Klal Yisrael would have endured by the Churban Beis HaMikdash, which we know was very, very great. From the very fact that he wasn't able to hold himself in, and we don't blame him. How many people would be able to do such a thing? After years of being separated from his brothers, he was able to finally announce who he was, and he cared and loved them and forgave them and everything else, right? But the Sfas Emes says, if he would have just kept it in for a bit longer, that sorrow that he would have endured would have saved Klal Yisrael years later from so much other tsar as well. And that's what the Sfas Emes says, and that's the reason why he's crying now for the Churban Beis HaMikdash. He's crying now for the Churban Beis HaMikdash because what he could have accomplished by holding himself in would have saved Klal Yisrael for much of the tsar. So I said Motzei Shabbos that I honestly believe this. That what Kesher Nafshi and all those people who are involved in the organization are doing is they are holding in, they are enduring the pain of so much tsar of Klal Yisrael. And through that, I really believe Mashiach is going to come. Because we know, as the Sfas Emes just told us, that when a Yid endures pain for somebody else, that brings the Churban, that brings the Beis HaMikdash. So, spending a Shabbos with real people is something eye-opening. There's a Choshev Rav, I'm not going to say his name, there's a Choshev Rav who's an amazing speaker, who's an amazing mechanach, an amazing person in general, whom I know, who came to speak for Kesher Nafshi. Somebody told me that he gets asked to speak by many, many organizations whether it be, conferences, Shabbatons, regular, whatever it is, he refuses. He doesn't like to speak for many people. He's a busy person. He only speaks generally for a few select organizations, and one of them is Kesher Nafshi. Why? What's the pshat? He said because he likes the realness of what goes on over there. And I'll explain to you why. When you've got people who are obviously going through pain and sorrow, it's not easy to have a child I spoke of a Shabbos to many people that doesn't have just one child, they have 2, 3, 4, or 5 children that were in an incredible, painful place, and that puts the parents in an even more painful place. And some of these parents, and there's no difference, and nobody cares what you look like, what you dress like, how you speak, where you come from. There's completely a situation of acceptance that you almost never see. Okay? You're talking about the most Litvish, the most Hasidish, the most modern, the most yeshivish. It's irrelevant. Nobody cares who you are, how you dress, what you speak, where you come from. We're Yidden, and we're all trying to become better. And we'll all become people that know our children, understand our children, and understand ourselves. And that's something that I felt. I spoke to a lot of people over Shabbos, Thursday to Sunday, whatever. I spoke to a tremendous amount of parents in real pain. And you see a group of people that just want to understand themselves. This is not a kiruv organization. They're not there to try and be makar of the child, bring the child closer to Hashem. Of course, that would be wonderful, and obviously that's great, but that's not the objective. That's not what they're trying to do. They're trying to get chezuk and understand themselves and have the tools to do that. To be in a place with Yidden that are so open to be able to learn about themselves and how can they improve themselves as a parent, as a machanach, because every person is a machanach, as we know. Whether you have your own children, whether you teach, or whether you just walk on the street, you're a machanach. Little do you realize, but you do. You have an achrayas. It's amazing to be in the midst of such people. And even though, just to be completely honest with you, I did have some opposition. How can you go? Whatever it is. I'm proud to say that I'm part of this organization, and I'm part of such a place that give chizuk to parents that are so real with themselves and so real with everything that they're living with. And that's an amazing thing. And by the way, why am I sharing this with you? I think it's an important tool. I think it's, first of all, to be non-judgmental. It's an amazing thing. It's a skill. To be non-judgmental, just not to judge someone by what they look like, by where they come from, by how they dress, by anything. They're a Yid, my nafkamina. And that was the place where we saw that. Not to judge anyone, okay? You see people that look the most religious of the most religious, and they also, they have children in pain. It's not easy. And some of them have problems and children with the most severe situations and crazy things. People say, oh, it's like kids up the derech, like what, they're smoking weed and they're like texting on Shabbos on their phone. That's, yeah, but no. We're dealing with parents with kids that have got real situations, real trauma, real, experiences that we don't want to hear about, we don't want to know about. But they're dealing with it. And they came to deal with it. I remember a parent said to me that the first time they went to such a Shabbaton, they stayed in their room for most of the Shabbos. They couldn't bear to leave their room. They didn't want to leave their room. They were so embarrassed to come out of their room and be in that club of, oh, I guess you're part of, us. If you're here, then you're part of the matzav. Until they managed to get themselves out of their bedroom. And since then, they've been coming for years and years already. But it's just amazing. It's an amazing to be part of such a thing. And I think it's a lesson to ourselves. We should never judge anyone. We don't understand what they went through. We don't understand where they came from. We don't understand someone's experiences. And we can never judge, right? The Mishnah in Pirkei Avos says, what does the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos say? Don't judge someone until you reach his place. You know what that means? That means never judge him. You know why? Because you'll never reach his place. It's not that you can judge him when you reach his place. You will never reach his place, which means never judge him. Never judge anyone. Never judge anyone. Looks can be deceiving. People are very good at putting on a great front. Never judge anyone. And also be open to change. That's what I saw over Shabbos, is a group of Yidden that were open to change. That were open to become better people, to become closer to Hashem, to become closer to themselves, to understand themselves. Right? It was an amazing thing. Just to be a part of that was amazing. Plus, I also got the schos of sitting on the same table as Rabbi Kelish and Rabbi Kesher. That alone was just choshev. I didn't say it out loud, but I said it afterwards to a few people. I forgot about it, and I said, Could be because I was whatever. The way we were sitting was someone asked a question, and then I answered, and then Rabbi Kesher answered, and Rabbi Kesher answered. Right? This is how we were sitting on the table. So I said, "Maisa, I'm just the appetizer, right? You know, you have to have an appetizer before you get to the main course, right? So I was the appetizer, and then I got myself. I'm working on my self-esteem, and then I told Rabbi Kesher that. Well, anyway, just to be on that table was chashuv. No, but seriously, I mean it honestly. Just what's that? What's that? The picture, yeah.
What color is your shoe?
Baruch Hashem. No, but honestly, to be in a place like that, first of all, it wasn't easy for me to leave yeshiva. You should just know, I kept on thinking the whole time, what's going on in yeshiva, what's happening in yeshiva, what about this, what about that. I was in touch with the guys. Baruch Hashem, it's not easy to be away from yeshiva. But I did feel at least I had some toyelas while I was there. You should know, I also don't enjoy being there for Shabbos. I hate being in America. I hate being in America for Shabbos. I don't enjoy being in America for Shabbos. What can I tell you? I had to go Thursday night for a chasna, as you know. Thursday night I had a chasna in Long Island. I think it was in Long Island. It was a beautiful chasna. It was really, really special. It was very, very nice. But that means if I'm there for Thursday night chasna, it means that I have to be there for Shabbos. And normally being there for Shabbos is very, very hard for me because I have to be away from my kids and I have to be away from you kids. So it's not easy for me. But because I was able to spend time with such choshvi and heilige Yidden and give speeches and whatever, help them in any way that I could. So I did feel that was at least a little bit of a, something in exchange for that. But in Mitzvah Hashem, I hope to be here now for a while. I'm not going anywhere. I don't want to go anywhere. A few people schedule me in for Shiurim, Baruch Hashem, they're over Zoom. I think at 4:30 in the morning is one of them. Say that. You guys won't even know about it. It's Kavaldik. Won't have to miss any yeshiva for it. Moedik, in the Mitzvah Hashem. Taka, I really believe Mashiach can come from such a place like that. When you've got people that are real to themselves, that are real to the relationship with Hashem, that's when Mashiach is going to come. As the Maral tells us, Mashiach wants to come when there are no robots here, when people are serving Yiddishkeit because they understand, because they want to connect. And that's what I feel we're doing over here as well, by the way. I feel very much, and that's what gave me chizuk about yeshiva. Right? People ask me over Shabbos, so which yeshiva does your yeshiva compare yourself to? So I said, none, I hope. And I said very simply, why did I say none? Because if it compared to any other one, then why do we have a yeshiva here? Go to any other one, right? So the answer is, when we're our own yeshiva, when we're trying to get better, and we're trying to get closer to Hashem, then that is when Mashiach comes. Says the Maral, that's when the Rabbeinu Shalom wants Mashiach to come to a place where Yidden want to serve Hashem. They want to serve Hashem not because they have to, not because they grew up with it, just because they want to have that connection. That's what's going on over here. We should be zeicha ourselves in this makom to bring Mashiach to Yidden that connect to Hashem because they want to connect to Hashem, Be'ezah Hashem.